Let's go! Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a great Monday. Court is now in session with your guy, Jonathan Mathis, the sports judge. Welcome back. Welcome. Let's get into it. Is it just me or is Micah Parsons really annoying? He annoys everyone, especially me. It peeves the hell out of me that he speaks in delusion. I mean, you got a Cowboys linebacker who already has his second career thought out, in which he puts more focus in that than he does his actual day job right now. I feel like more energy is put into his side hustle and not enough time invested in football. You know what I'm saying? And what bothers me about him is that he opens his mouth and spew out eye-rolling nonsense way too much and then acts surprised when people call him out on it. I don't know if he does it for the hell of it, for typical clickbait, for attention, angry games, or for the clown behavior, but it's irritating and I'm annoyed by it. Maybe if he wasn't in the news more for what he says than his actual play on the field, he would vastly improve and demonstrate polished skills. To me, he's not focused. He attracts nonsense of the culture instead of his craft. His focus isn't where it needs to be. If he wants to be a superstar, treated like a superstar, paid like a superstar, Parsons needs to refocus with a clear direction. His podcast, among other distractions, is driving him and his mind elsewhere. It's too much about him and not the team. High maintenance. He likes to be at the center of attention and likes to get in front of a podcast microphone, screaming and talking about what he's going to do, who he's going to be, and everything. His podcast is drawing more attention. And so recently, in an appearance on an Outkick podcast, a right-wing sports site, Giants legend Lawrence Taylor calls out Cowboys edge rusher Micah Parsons. Taylor had a message for Parsons saying, quote, "He's a great player, but guys, let's do more. Let's play more football and let's podcast." I'm on Lawrence Taylor's side. I concur. I agree with him strongly, 100%. I like this statement. Listen up and take some advice from one of the best to ever perform at the linebacker position. We're talking about a legend, someone who redefined what it meant to be a 3-4 outside linebacker. We're talking about a guy whose versatility and athleticism were unmatched, second to none. The way he impacted the game, troubled off the field, had his problems off the field, but he's spot on about Micah Parsons. Instead of wanting to be known as this fierce competitor on the field, Parsons wants to be known as this guy who shares his feelings. I'm not saying anything is wrong with that, but when you make it a priority to podcast and not give football 110%, that's where I have a problem. Because what it shows me is that you're not fully committed. Your mind is in 10 million other places, everywhere else besides football. That's where he has to draw the line. LT is accurate with his statement. 110% correct here. If you rank any top 10 list in football, LT is going to be ranked on that list for sure. If he isn't, then I can't take you seriously. And LT comes from a different time. LT didn't play in the social media era. Sports used to be about winning at all costs. Now these athletes today build empires through social media. You didn't go out there at the end of the week or during the week of a game and do podcasts and spend all this time on social media. In his era, They didn't have social media, so they didn't have an opportunity to get on social media and use their platform. It's the fact that Micah Parsons is often compared to LT, and yet the Cowboys can't stop anybody in big situations. In postseasons, they have struggled. They've had a lot of trouble. Green Bay, 48 points. You can't be compared to LT when the team you play on can't stop anybody. You're compared him to LT, and his team never does anything in the postseason or never comes up with the big stops. LT is the greatest linebacker who ever lived. He has 132 career sacks. 9 times he was named the All-Pro the first 9 seasons. Parsons has been in the NFL for 4 years. He's been a Pro Bowler all 4 years. And I take this as LT saying he's a special young man. And that, hey, brother, I see something in you. You can take it however you want to take it. I'm just saying that's the way I see it. Sometimes, if you're Micah Parsons, you just need to shut the hell up and be quiet. Micah draws criticism because he wears a star on his helmet. He plays for the Dallas Cowboys, and he's making these comments wondering why people hate his podcast. Come on, bro, really? You play for the Dallas Cowboys. You play for one of the most valuable franchises in the NFL. It's a world-class franchise. Everybody knows who you are. And Parsons is heading into the 5th and final season of his rookie deal. Do you pay him? Well, if I'm the Dallas Cowboys and if I'm Jerry Jones, I'm not paying him a dime because he, to me, is not serious enough. You know, and he says things on his podcast that shouldn't be said. He says things that should stay within the 4 walls of the locker room. And sometimes he says things that undermines the people within the organization, you know, in terms of contract disputes or in terms of this player not playing well. You've heard him throw his ex-coach, Mike McCarthy, under the bus. I mean, the guy has said a lot. He has had a mouthful, and sometimes it's better to just keep your mouth closed. Some things, like I always say, are better left unsaid. And Micah Parsons, he has a mouth. He goes on this podcast, and I think this has created an unnecessary distraction. I'm not saying that he shouldn't podcast. I'm just saying there's a time and place to do it. Maybe less during the regular season, or not at all. Don't do it at all during the regular season. If you want a podcast, now is the time to do it. But don't do it during the regular season and have guests come on your show that play for the opposing team. I think that's weird too. Like the time he had Darius Slay on his show. What are you doing? You know, but yes, your podcast is going to be criticized because you play for the Dallas Cowboys and you're always saying something. So, of course, people are going to clap back and have their comments and their remarks about it. That's just the way it is. And, you know, social media is an open forum. That's where people come on and use their platform. And things are going to be said about you. And if you don't like it, then all I can tell you is not the podcast at all. But I think I'm with LT. I think you need to do less podcasting and spend more time in the film room. Hit them weights. Watch more film. Focus on what you need to focus on to become a better football player, a better version of yourself. Hey, everyone. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate the love and support. I hadn't gotten around to talking about this story. I wanted to talk about what was said and what LT has had to say about Micah Parsons and give you guys my thoughts and opinions about it. And again, I agree with everything that Lawrence Taylor said. He's right on with his comments, 100% accurate. And that's a guy you want to listen to because he's a legend and he's been there before and he's done this before and he knows what it's like to be an all-pro and what it's like to play for as long as he did in the National Football League. And if there's one guy you want to listen to and you want to take advice from, it is Lawrence Taylor, because he is the best to ever do it. All right, guys, I'm checking out now. You guys enjoy the rest of your night. Have a great Monday. We'll talk again very soon. If you guys like my content, you guys know where you guys can find it, and you guys can smash the subscribe button. But we'll talk again very soon. Take care, everyone.